Have you ever arrived in a city and thought, I think I could settle down here? What if I bought a house here? And then checked online for options for real estate? If you are someone like me who has traveled to many countries and has lived in a few countries, it's a tough decision to choose one place to actually settle down. And if you're someone who lives in your hometown or nearby and you got roots, family, friends, a stable job, it can be scary to think about moving to a new place and settle down there. So in this video, I'll go through a list of important factors that you should have in mind when deciding where to settle down. Ready? Go! Now, this is the topic that has been keeping me awake in the past few weeks, like literally. I am someone who has traveled to about 30 countries. I've lived in China for 5 years. I love traveling, but I just turned 40 last month. So I'm starting to think of somewhere where I could settle down, where I could usually live for 5-10 years. And I've thought about some factors when deciding where to live, and I want to share them with you in this video. The first thing I learned is that feeling of belonging doesn't mean it's the perfect place to settle down. What I mean by that is that once you get to a place, the first 3 months you're going to be totally out of your comfort zone, trying to find where to go, where is safe, where is not safe, how much should I pay for food, how much should I pay for rent, and stuff like that. And after some time, it's kind of normal to feel like you belong to that place. I'm not saying it's gonna happen to everywhere you go, but I actually felt that in China when I was there, but it's not a place where I would like to settle down for sure. So the feeling of belonging comes after some time living in that place, but it doesn't make it the perfect place to settle down. Also, your current priorities might not be the same in 10 or 20 years. When I was in China, I didn't think about, good health system, about taxes that much, because those were not my priorities. I went to China for the adventure and I wanted to live there, be able to support myself and also save up some money. In 10 or 20 years, other factors are gonna be more important than that. So you gotta think about your own priorities now and then talk to people who are 10, 20 years older and think about their priorities in the long run. Also, if you don't work remotely, then the place you choose to settle down will highly depend on job opportunities. Some of my friends have mentioned to me they want to leave the big cities they live in, like London, Seattle, New York, and live in a more rural area, countryside with nature. But if you gotta work every day, then that's gonna be a tough option for you. So if you don't work remotely, the place where you choose to live is gonna be somewhere where you have more job opportunities. Having a family or wanting to have kids in the future is also going to be an important factor when choosing where to settle down. When you're moving to a new place with your family, then you'll want to find out more about the education system in that country and also opportunities for private schools. Also, you got to think about your non-negotiables. What are your non-negotiables? What are the things that you wouldn't negotiate when choosing a new place to live? For example, some people think about safety as a non-negotiable. If it's somewhere which is not, very safe for you and your family, then that's out of the question. But also, there's number 6 on the list, which is your budget. Like, I would not consider living in New York or in London, because to live in those places, I would probably have to rent a bedroom. And I'm 40, I don't want to rent, and share an apartment with 2 or 3 other people. So London, New York, Paris are probably out of the question. The older you get, the more you start thinking about the health system, public, private health, insurance. So these are things you gotta ask yourself, especially because if you're living in a place more than 183 days, that's for most places, you're gonna be paying taxes there. So how much are you getting out of these taxes regarding your the health system in that country? So you can easily Google that and check health system, private health insurance in some countries. And I actually made a video here talking about the best retirement destinations, and I included that information there for the top 10 list. So you might want to check that out. One other thing I thought was really important, and I only realized that once I moved here to Bogotá, is that it's near a big international airport. So that means that I can easily travel to North America, Europe, and other countries here in South America. I didn't think that this was that important. But then after some time, I realized that yes, I do want to have easy access to other major cities, and not like when I lived in China that I needed to spend over 30 hours sometimes to get to Brazil. And the more I travel, the more I understand that it's really important to have a support system wherever you go. And when I say support system, I mean having people you can trust, friends, but also people that you can share your problems, your difficulties with. In China, I had a support system mainly with expats who also lived there. But then after some time, most of them left and went back to their home countries. And that was a problem for me. I felt like 80% of the people I trusted, I could meet and I could share my problems and, spend time with on weekends had left. So that was a big problem for me. And that was an important factor that made me leave China after 5 years living there. Now, if you don't live near your friends, family, at least try to live somewhere where you can easily get to them if there's any kind of problem, emergency and stuff like that. So sometimes somewhere very isolated could be a problem if you need that support system, and especially if you're traveling on your own. If you're traveling with your family, then that's a little bit different. And last but not least, taxes. Yes, you got to think about your taxes. Some countries offer retirees some incentives to move there when they're 50, 60 years old. Some other countries, you gotta pay your taxes locally and also back in your country. So of course you wanna avoid double taxation, but actually you gotta do your research, because this is a tricky question here. And I think you should do your research according to the country you're thinking about going to. Do your research well, talk to someone who is a specialist so that you don't end up paying, taxes twice, or paying just a large sum at the end of the year. At the end of the day, I still don't know what I'm gonna do. It's not that I'm gonna settle down this year or next year somewhere, but it's definitely something I've been thinking a lot recently. So what do you think about the list that I shared with you here? Are there any other important factors that we should all consider before choosing a place to settle down? Well, let me know in the comments below. I hope you liked the video, and I'll see you next time.